NewsRme. The UN is divided over a ban on travel by Taliban officials. Diplomatic sources said Monday that the UN Security Council members were still split on whether or not to let some of Afghanistan's Taliban officials out of a travel ban. In 2011, the Security Council passed a resolution that sanctions 135 Taliban leaders. These sanctions include freezing their assets and making it hard for them to travel. 13 of them were let out of the travel ban, which was done regularly so that they could meet officials from other countries abroad. But this exemption stopped on Friday because Ireland didn't want it to be renewed automatically for another month. The 15 members of the Security Council who make up the Sanctions Committee for Afghanistan had already taken off 2 Taliban ministers in charge of education from the exemptions list in June. They did this because the hardline Islamist regime severely limited the rights of women and girls. Diplomatic sources say several Western countries would like to cut the list down even more. They point out that the Taliban hadn't kept their promises when they returned to power a year ago to protect human rights and fight terrorism. The US said at the beginning of the month that Ayman al-Zawahiri, the leader of al-Qaeda, had been killed in a drone strike in Kabul. This put into question the Taliban's promise that they wouldn't give shelter to militant groups. China and Russia, on the other hand, backed a regular extension of the list of exemptions. Last week, the Chinese person in the Security Council said, "These exemptions are still just as important." The Chinese person said that tying human rights to Taliban officials' travel problems was counterproductive. Diplomatic sources say that both sides have turned down several compromise proposals since last week and again on Monday. These compromises would have cut down on the number of officials involved or the number of authorized destinations. Discussions are likely to keep going. Until a decision is made, none of the Taliban officials on the list of people who can't travel can go anywhere. This worried the foreign minister of the Taliban, Amir Khan Muttaqi, who has been to Qatar several times in the past few months for diplomatic talks and was one of the 13 exceptions. In a statement posted on Twitter on Saturday, a spokesman for the Foreign Ministry asked the Security Council not to use sanctions as a tool of pressure and said that all sanctions against Taliban officials should be lifted.